Hello, it's Vicar Ezekiel Grabow for our 15th day of Advent and our 15th day of the Jesse tree. And right away you might notice that something is different. Instead of a purple candle, I have a pink candle. Well, I've had a purple candle lit for the past 2 weeks because there's usually a purple candle lit in church or a blue candle lit in church for the first 2 weeks. But the third week is special and has a pink candle lit. And today, this Sunday, is the first day of the third week of Advent. And the pink candle is supposed to remind us of joy. So in church, you might have heard or are about to hear, depending on when you're listening to this video, about joy. That's what all the readings are about, and even what our sermon will be about. Well, last time, when we were talking about the Jesse tree, we were talking about the prophets of God. People who were sent to the people of Israel, and as we'll find out today, even to the people not of Israel, to teach them to turn to God and to turn away from other gods, false gods. Last time we talked about Elijah and how at Mount Carmel he set up an altar and prayed to God to have him show the people of Israel that the Lord is the true God. And today we're going to be talking about Jonah. Now, Jonah was called not just to preach to the people of Israel, but to the people of Nineveh. Now, Nineveh was the capital of the Assyrian Empire, an empire that opposed Israel and fought against them. So God was asking Jonah to go and preach the gospel to his enemies. Jonah really didn't want to do that. So he got on a boat to go in the opposite direction, all the way over to Tarshish. But God is everywhere. There's no way to run away from him. So God sent a storm to stop Jonah and the boat he was on. And the sailors were terrified. They had no idea what to do. And so Jonah told them that they had to throw him into the sea to stop the storm. Well, the sailors prayed to God and asked that they have mercy on them and cast Jonah into the sea. And they gave thanks to God when God took the storm away. But God didn't let Jonah drown in the ocean. He sent a fish to rescue him. This is from Jonah chapter 1 and chapter 2. And the Lord appointed a great fish to swallow up Jonah. And Jonah was in the belly of the fish 3 days and 3 nights. Then Jonah prayed to the Lord his God from the belly of the fish, saying, I called out to the Lord out of my distress, and he answered me. Out of the belly of Sheol I cried, and you heard my voice. For you cast me into the deep, into the heart of the seas, and the flood surrounded me. All your waves and your billows passed over me. Then I said, I am driven away from your sight. Yet I shall again look upon your holy temple. The waters closed in over me to take my life. The deep surrounded me. Weeds were wrapped around my head at the roots of the mountains. I went down to the land whose bars closed upon me forever. Yet you brought my life up from the pit, O Lord my God. When my life was fainting away, I remembered the Lord, and my prayer came to you, into your holy temple. Those who pay regard to vain idols forsake their hope of steadfast love. But I, with the voice of thanksgiving, will sacrifice to you. What I have vowed I will pay. Salvation belongs to the Lord. And the Lord spoke to the fish, and it vomited Jonah up out onto dry land. Jonah used a word that you're probably not very familiar with, Sheol. Sheol means the grave. It means death. So Jonah said that as he was sinking into the ocean, he felt that death itself had come upon him. And in a very real way, too. He was in danger of death, in danger of drowning. But God brought him up out of death and gave him life again, so that he would come up out of the fish and preach to the people of Nineveh. And those people, the Ninevites, would repent and turn away from following false gods, from those vain idols that Jonah was talking about in the fish, and they would turn and trust in the one true God. Well, Jonah's not the only person who went down into death itself. Jesus also suffered death. He died on the cross and was buried and lay in the tomb for 3 days. Notice that's exactly how long Jonah was in the fish. He lay in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. And when Jesus was asked by the people of his day to give a sign that he was the Son of God, Jesus told them that he would give only the sign of Jonah. He was referring to his death and his resurrection, that Jesus would be buried in the tomb and rise again. And because he rose again, we don't have to be afraid of death either. Jesus will raise us from the dead, just as he brought Jonah out of the fish. We'll talk more about the prophets of God next time.